Sometimes life is funny. This story kind of starts with me having a little bit of a burnout, and it ends with me having a sawmill on a trailer. Remember a couple weeks ago when I was so overwhelmed with the house and all the workload and all this pressure I was under? I am taking a break from the house because I am losing my mind. Well, eventually I realized it's probably not only me being so burned out, it's probably my whole team, because we've been working on this house together for over 2.5 years now. So I wondered, is there anything I can do to, I don't know, release a little bit of the pressure, like do something fun together? Because over that time, not only are we colleagues and we work together, we also became friends. So I wanted to do something with my team. I thought about it for a little bit, and then I found the perfect thing. It's a log cabin workshop from Logosol. We decided, all right, let's go there. We have 2 days available. Let's build a log cabin doghouse for Smudo. Having a quick breakfast and introducing everybody, Leo, Paul, Justus, Janine and I were introduced to the tools that we're going to use, and we started with the chainsaw. And that, I have to say, kind of reminded me of some teenage trauma I had with my moped. Ist ja wie früher mit dem Moped, da hattest du die gleichen Probleme. Okay. Geil, also hiermit machen wir jetzt heute richtig viel, ja?
Mit der sägt ihr dann, ja? Okay. Genau.
After we got comfortable with the chainsaws, it was time to use the big bandsaw mill. And right away, I could tell that this is one of those machines where you know this will change the way you work. It's like using a table saw for the first time. What probably sums this experience up best is just seeing the smile on everybody's faces when they use the sawmill. All right, now we had our stock material. Next step was to measure how big the cabin has to be. So we needed to measure Smudo. Sitz?
So. Hier mal messen.
Höhe? Ja, also 90 müssen wir haben. Dann nochmal plus 10% wegen der Schrumpfung, ne? Ja, mindestens 1,10 Meter. Okay, machen wir ein bisschen größer, ne? Falls du mal Besuch hast. Boah, Junge. Here's something that I didn't know about the Logosol sawmills. Not only do you have the bandsaw on it, you can attach additional equipment to the rails. And in our case, we had this molder, which you can also use as a planer. So you can cut your slab and then run the planer over it, and then boop, it's planed. We, in our case, wanted to have some profile on the log so we can build the cabin. It's kind of like a round groove and tenon. So we had 2 different cut heads and just ran over the logs. And within an hour, I think, all of our raw logs that we dimensioned with the sawmill were now ready to build a log cabin from. And then they brought out the template, which is a template for the joinery, so you can interlock the beams. And what I thought was fascinating about this is the joints are designed for 10% shrinkage of the wood, which means now when we cut it, there are all these gaps, but over time, the wood will dry and it will shrink 10%, and then everything kind of falls into place and tightens as the wood dries, which then makes it pretty much airtight. I thought that was just fascinating how they calculated this. Be mean, but I was kind of relieved that Paul seems to have some teenage moped trauma too, and I wasn't the only one struggling with the chainsaws. Stress? Ah! Not like we weren't impressed with Logosol at this point, but they wanted to impress us even more, and they brought out their chainsaw mill, which I always, when I saw those mills where you just use a chainsaw to cut the slabs, I always thought it looked a bit cumbersome. To be fair, I've never tried one. Trying this one though, again, just look at the smile on everybody's faces. You you have seen it all now, but that's when they brought out the three-headed planer, which is essentially a planer where you put a board in and it planes it flat. But at the same time, in the same action, it also has two cutting heads. And in our case, we cut a groove and tenon joint on it. So one pass, the board is plain and it has groove and tenon joint. I don't know what to say, all I can do is sweat. So we used these boards as a roof and then we were done. And that is it. In 2 days, we, from scratch, build a log cabin doghouse for Smudo. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Wait, but Smudo is not in Germany anymore. He is now in LA. Well, Smudo and Janine's dog Mac, they worked something out and Smudo is now subletting it to Mac. So don't worry about it. It's insane how much we learned about the joinery, learning to use and operate different machines and to understand them. And most of all, I enjoyed how much fun we had together. I mean, I was sure that me and my team were always having fun and that it was great. But also the guys from Logosol, it felt like a friendship hangout. And that's kind of how we got to talk to each other. Like, this is fun. We should work together more often. And then they surprised me and said, you know what? Why don't we send you a sawmill to California? And that's where we are. Again, it started with probably the lowest point in the last years and years and years. And it ended with this new perspective of new potential and new work I can do. That means next step is to bring my workshop here in California up to speed. I will show you next week what I'm doing so far. And I think you should watch. I think this is not size-wise, it's still a small workshop, but I think equipment-wise, this is the best workshop I've ever had. I am so happy with it. All right, so thank you guys for watching. I will wrap this up because I think I'm getting a sunburn. Thank you, Logosol, for sending me this insane sawmill. And I will see you next week with a new video. Bye. Look at this. As you know, I'm working on the version 2 of my tape mates. And my goal is to hand make 300. We'll see, so I made this little thing so I can do a tape mate whenever I'm waiting in traffic or for dinner or whatever. Instead of just scrolling on the phone, I do a tape mate. And since I've been in Germany, this is what I did. Huh?
Wow.
So doing a little bit adds up to quite a lot. And if you want to replace scrolling on your phone, let me introduce to you today's sponsor, Brilliant.org. Brilliant is where you learn by doing with thousands of interactive lessons in programming, data, and AI. The team crafting the content on Brilliant.org are teachers, professionals, and researchers working at MIT, Google, and Microsoft, and many more. I've been using Brilliant for 2 years now, and it actually helps your critical thinking and your problem-solving skills. So instead of sitting down for hours to study, Brilliant only requires a couple minutes a day, but that adds up to a pretty effective learning strategy, just like my tape mates. If I had to do hundreds of them in one go, I would never do it, but 10 a day, Easy. Let's continue our session from last time about the train. The first one was easy. Let's see. How fast will the ball be moving away from the train after the collision? The train is going 200 kilometers an hour, hits a bouncy ball. How fast is the 400, right? Because it's a bouncy ball. Can it get faster?
Don't ask me.
Can it get faster? It looks faster. I say 400. Oh, incorrect. It's 200. Well, now I know. Okay, this is good. Come over here. Let's look at the explanation, because my answer was incorrect. Perspective train moves the ball closer, hits the train heavier, and the ball bounces off the train, there's a bounce off the wall. So after the collision, it moves away from the train, same speed. Okay, back to problem. I correct myself. I continue. To try everything that Brilliant has to offer, go to brilliant.org/LauraKampf or click the link in the description or scan this QR code. You also get 20% off of the annual subscription. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I want to thank Brilliant for the ongoing support of my work, and I'll see you all next week with a new video.